Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green. This is Wise Woman Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on your alter ego. And the reason I'm doing a reading on your alter ego is because this is a part of you that wants to come through to help you bring about greater success in the outcomes that you seek. All right, so this is something that wants to come through that maybe you haven't let through, or for whatever reason. We're going to find out today the alter ego that's going to support you now. All right, so I encourage you to stick around. If you find that you enjoy this reading, I ask you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, coaching work, personal readings, check out erritygreen.com/shop. I also have a link below. And I also encourage you to check out my other YouTube channels and communities. I'd love to have you as a subscriber over there, which I also update regularly. Psychic True Crime, Wise Women Television, both of which, again, are linked below. All right, from here, I will place a picture up of your 3 card piles to choose from today. You are choosing from left to right. Card pile 1, your alter ego. As soon as I turned these cards over, I couldn't even believe it. It was just so precious. And I am like, enamored to bring this to you. So, card pile 1. For whatever reason, we don't know why. You know why, okay? But it's not really telling me why. Perhaps you have skirted around this, not done it, not moved into it, but you actually love like friendship, community, relationships, collaboration. You love being involved in teams and with other people. And I feel like this is where you shine. This is where you come alive. This is where your gifts are most clearly seen. It's like groups and communities and people, they enliven you. There's something that it brings out in you that is important for you. So interestingly enough, you might consider yourself a loner, a misfit, an outsider, a wallflower. You might consider yourself an introvert, okay? You might have done the test in the human design, this and that, and it's telling you INFJ, and it's telling you things like that you're kind of a loner or a reader or a bookworm or whatever. You keep to yourself. That's how you like it. That's how you do best. Independent, solitude, hermit, okay? This doesn't mean you don't like those things or that isn't restorative or nourishing or supportive for you, because clearly it's here for a reason, okay? And it is a part of you. However, the alter ego that wants to come through, that wants to say, hey, there's more to life than this. There's a sweeter outcome on the other side of community, connection, collaboration, cooperation. That you also thrive, you come alive in groups. If there are times you don't feel confident, or you feel insecure, or you don't feel your best, or you don't feel in the zone, or you don't feel like you're in your groove, it's saying it's because you're spending too much time alone. So while you might need time to yourself, because maybe you do get overstimulated, perhaps you are very sensitive, perhaps you are very empathic, perhaps you do pick up on other people's energies, but it's saying once you get to being alone and then you spend so much time alone that you actually don't feel your best, you don't thrive, you start to stagnate, you might start not to feel confident or feel like yourself or feel, again, alive, inspired. Like you feel best, you feel inspired, and you thrive with other people in groups and communities with like-minded others, okay? So connection, collaboration, community, cooperation, this is like your nectar. This is the nectar of your life, the honey of your life. And what's so interesting, because we have bees and we have ripeness and we have fruit. So this is telling me this is the nectar of your life. But here's the thing, and why I think this is coming up. This is your alter ego, because I feel like this is what you've up until now missed out on. That up until now, perhaps not valued, not understood, or perhaps not even gotten close enough to it to be able to recognize its value. And I feel like there is an insecurity here that holds you back. There is something in terms of your belief in yourself or whatever, your own fear of vulnerability that holds you back from these areas. But this is ironically going to be the thing, that feeling of together, of doing it together, of being together, that's going to make you feel alive, inspired, shine, and thrive. There's something here about doing it together and sharing life together that is going to bring you the sweetest nectar you've ever known. I feel like this is the next level, the next step, the juice, you know, the root of the root, the bud of the bud, the thing that you've sought for and never known what kind of package it would come in, or why you felt like something was missing, or why something wasn't working out. I feel like this is a primary undercurrent and variable of all of those lingering questions and curiosities in your life. You know, why isn't it working for me? Why hasn't it happened for me? Why don't I feel fulfilled? Where is that contentment or peace? Like, I do the work, I show up, I take care of myself. this might be the missing piece. And I feel like it's going to bring you so much more sweetness, like the nectar of life, than you have ever known. This is the honey. Like this is the juice. This is the root of the root, the bud of the bud. It feels like springtime. It feels like being in a forever winter and loving winter and appreciating winter and even identifying with winter, but then really not allowing yourself to enjoy spring or saying, well, gosh, I love winter, but I feel like there's more to life. I feel like this is what has been missing. Your alter ego is someone who is in groups, thrives in groups, loves being around people, connection, collaboration, conversation, that really comes alive in community settings and with others. Togetherness is the relevant piece here for you, card pile 1. Your alter ego loves to be with others in connection and community and thrives there. Let's see what else is here. Okay, your alter ego. Let me see here. I want to dive into this a little bit more. One moment here. Your alter ego allows you, and it's funny because we have all this connection, togetherness, it almost feels like a movement, alive, inspired. But your alter ego also is someone or part of you that values rest and nourishment and caretaking and honoring of self. Okay, so what this tells me, if this is your alter ego, then what that implies is that you tend to be someone who doesn't, I think you might value rest, but you might not see like the full value in it or not allow yourself to have it. Somewhere, some way you might tell yourself, well, if it's not productive, well, if it's not bringing out an outcome, or if there isn't a purpose here, if there's not an agenda, this isn't fulfilling a task, then what's the purpose of it or what's the point in it? And it feels like your alter ego is very happy with rest. I feel like there's something else here though, so I am going to take a moment to sit with your cards. There is a part of you, a part of your identity, not your alter ego, that stress is all it knows. Carrying a lot of weight, doing a lot of things, keeping up with all the things, attending to all the tasks, and you literally don't know what to do with yourself when you're resting, when there's space, when there's openness. Your alter ego, however, thrives in rest, loves rest, enjoys and appreciates rest. It might even, because we got that initial card about community and togetherness, appreciate rest in the company of others. So this could also be the energy of company and companionship and kind of Netflix and chill, or having a gathering, a simple gathering at home, like home cooked meals. I'm getting the energy of nurturing and comfort, kind of that Cancerian astrological energy, potlucks, but companionship and rest, mixing those things, togetherness and rest. What do you do for leisure? Because it's not just rest in the traditional sense of like sleeping or napping or whatever. It feels like that energy again of leisure, of downtime. And so your alter ego appreciates leisure, not just doing things for the productivity of it or because it's constructive or is good for you or checks something off the list or takes care of something around the house or at work or whatever. Your alter ego thrives in leisure and recreation and again, companionship and connection and fun within connection with others, but it doesn't just have to be with others. We have that energy here. I think that is very, very relevant. I think it is important for you. I feel like that is the nectar of your life and has been likely something that's been missing. And even if it's not been completely missing, it's been something that hasn't been fully relished or savored. And this is all about leisure. Your alter ego loves leisure. It enjoys leisure. It could spend its whole life in leisure. And I feel like all this conscious part of you, the part that you present with, the part that you spend most of your time with, what you embody or reside in most of the time is one of more stress, one of more doing things, productivity, accomplishing tasks, maybe even exhaustion. I am feeling the energy of some people kind of take this all the way to the hilt, so to speak. And the next thing you know, they're exhausted. They're used to bringing themselves to fatigue. And then they spend time in fatigue and maybe doing something kind of lazy, spending a whole day in bed watching Netflix or, eating ice cream or something like that. There's no problem with that. But it's like the energy of if you had just given yourself leisure and downtime and time with friends, that wouldn't even be necessary. It doesn't mean you couldn't have those things, but it wouldn't even be necessary. You would actually be more nourished or provided for or whatever by doing the leisure time in the first place. Just having let yourself have that leisure time from the get-go. and even with others, where you think that, oh, that's going to exhaust you, but in fact, it's going to give you the energy that you need when it's leisure-like, with friends, with community, with connections. That's actually going to refuel you more than you think it's going to drain you. Oh, your alter ego card, pile 1, trust. It trusts in the mystery of life. It's willing to take chances, to take leaps, to explore the unknown, to consider it an adventure, to not have a knowing about every little thing, or a certainty or a promise or a guarantee about every little thing. Like, it doesn't have its I's dotted. It doesn't have its T's crossed. It hasn't looked over the list or second guessed, like locking the door and turning off the stove. And not that that's like a literal example, it's like metaphorical, and all the ways that you might double check an email or double check a text or make sure that something sounds polished or that there's a finesse or whatever. And it's like, there's an alter ego part of you that's willing to just let go, to trust, to be, to explore, to adventure. A part of you that's willing to travel and just pick up spontaneously and go with like a couple things in your hand, to buy a plane ticket to nowhere and to not have any idea or care in the world as to what's going to be on the other side of that, or if you have a place or a rental car, that no questions asked, that you're not even going to bother telling anyone because you don't have to, because it's your day and you get to do as you please. It's like there's a part of you that is like a gypsy soul, and I mean gypsy in that energy of just being able to travel and just being able to be spontaneous and have no final destination or location where you reside, but you're willing to pick up and explore and adventure. And again, you don't have to have everything just so and decided and planned and compartmentalized and detailed and defined and all of those things. So card pile 1, your alter ego, and this is what wants to be expressed through you now. This is your next chapter, if you will allow it. This is an alter ego that you can explore, that you can give name to, that you can define and begin to create more space in your life for, right? This is someone who appreciates connection, community, togetherness, that appreciates leisure, downtime, fun, social gatherings, and that is willing to explore the unknown, have a little bit more adventure, act more spontaneously, and just be in the trust and surrendered flow of life. So card pile 1, if this connects for you, lands for you, resonates for you, I encourage you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive more notifications moving forward. I'd love to hear from you. Do share your story in the comments. If you just say card pile 1, I'm not going to remember because I did this 2 weeks ago by the time it's up. Okay, so you got to tell me how this lands, how this resonates. I'd love to hear your story in your comments. And then also do subscribe to my other 2 YouTube communities. We have Psychic True Crime, Wise Women Television. I'd love to have you over there. I do update regularly. If you want to get to know more about me and my work, personal readings, you can check out the link below or visit erritygreen.com/shop. Thank you, card pile 1. Card pile 2, this is about your alter ego. So in general, these are going to be things that you can tap into and connect more with and create more space for to produce more fulfillment, contentment, expression, happiness in your life, okay? So let's talk about your alter ego. Your alter ego, right off the bat, this is about not having everything planned out or defined or known in advance. This is about being willing to just be in the moment. There's something here about a contentedness or a contentment that happens to you, card pile 2, when you just let yourself be. This alter ego really just enjoys simple pleasures. This alter ego is at home with just itself, its body, its breath, and in nature. This alter ego really is easy to please and doesn't need a whole lot. It's really fulfilled and at peace just being on their own and being outside in nature, taking a deep breath, connecting with the trees, the stars, the midnight sky. It's like there really isn't a whole lot this alter ego requires in order to be at peace, to feel at home, to be fulfilled, to be content. This is a part of you that I feel like is different from your everyday existence, because the identity you most identify with or spend most of your time in might very much be someone that is like calling the shots, captain of the ship, doing the things, attending to the things, taking care of business, doing what must be done. That doesn't have to be the only thing, but that's the primary energy that I'm getting. I'm trying to see what else is here. You might be someone who is a perfectionist and or someone who has Virgo in their chart, or, you know, or many places in their chart. So you're used to having things polished, defined, nailed down, identified. There's some kind of certainty or guarantee or something like that. You might be someone who is used to like producing and producing more and producing more. And it's like I don't feel like the energy of materialism, if that is relevant here, then that might land for you, but I'm not feeling that. But I do feel like someone who at work who's sort of this drive to produce more or do more, because it could just be, it could be work related, like produce more, more, more. And at the end of the day, you really don't even value that, but it just might be something that you're used to because of capitalist culture, American dream, whatever, the corporate mentality. But I also feel this energy of like, you might be used to that, like doing more, producing more, like you are used to being productive. You might have grown up in a household that expected you to be productive. Maybe you were the eldest child, a parentified child. Maybe you're just used to that being your reality, and so you don't know any better. But there's some kind of energy here of you're obviously in one ego identity, and the alter ego is way more content than you think, which is doing nothing. But it doesn't feel like nothing, like in the way that's like draining and numbing. Okay, so there's a different kind of energy between, say, being outside and being with nature and just being with your breath and feeling full, content, and alive and inspired, just being alive. That's a totally different energy than, say, being in the moment and like scrolling on social media. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a very different energy to that. Or like, watching a Netflix show. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a different energy. It's a different experience. There's something here about a natural contentment that happens for you that is very easy and simple pleasures, but it feels very nature related. It doesn't have to be 100% nature. Could be you on your porch. It doesn't have to be on your porch. Maybe it's you in the mountains or on the beach. And even if it's not nature at all, then I'm getting like, a stream or a creek or whatever. But I feel like you might most be at home in those areas, and you might be totally pleased in those areas and content in those areas. But it doesn't necessarily have to be nature, but it does have this alive feeling more so than a deadening feeling. Okay. So if you find that in your downtime card pile too, and you're like, oh, well, I do have downtime and I am a simple pleasure kind of person. But if you find that your downtime, you're choosing deadening, like non-life affirming activities, that's really not what does it for you. It might be how you're filling your time. It might be how you are, it's like how you're filling your time, and you feel like it might be like a hit. Maybe it's like a hit of dopamine or something, but it's actually more numbing, draining, and deadening than anything else. And I think you're going to know exactly the feeling that I'm talking about. So I feel like I don't have to overdo it on the explanation, but you are fulfilled and content and at peace, and everything is bright in the world, like just being you in the moment because you're alive. Like you do have that alter ego. Let's see what else is here. Your alter ego also is one who is totally at home and at peace with receiving love. And here's the thing is I don't just mean like receiving love from other people. I again feel this energy of you can receive just by like the way we were talking about, like being in nature. Doesn't have to be that, but that same feeling, wherever you find that feeling, no matter where it is, that same thing is going to be rejuvenating for you, restorative for you, renewing for you. You're at peace. Your soul is at peace. You feel at home. But your alter ego is very much about you can receive love. You can open your heart. You can receive an open heart from other people. And I feel like you feel again at peace at home and experience love in these very simple moments that don't require a whole lot. There's a lot of contentment here. Here's the thing though, I do have another thread or something that wants to come through, so I'm going to take a moment with it. Okay, so I have the energy now. So it's almost like this irony of like being perfectly okay and content all on your own, the sovereign energy, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're alone or have to be alone, but you are at peace with that. I feel like you actually love and enjoy and appreciate companionship or partnership or connection more than you might think. Now, again, I feel like you're 100% fulfilled and content and at peace on your own. So it's not like it's saying, like, these aren't opposing truths. They can both be true. But I feel like your alter ego is 100% okay being on its own and also 100% okay with love in its life, partnership, companionship, community, friendship, family, romantic partnership. It's like, it's okay with allowing love. It's okay. It's 100% at peace with both. And what's interesting is because we're talking about your alter ego, then what this might tell me is that you might not be generally okay with that. Maybe again, you're so focused on all the things that you're doing and producing and all these things you're holding up that maybe you haven't been allowing that in, or it hasn't been something that's been present for you or regularly present for you, or something you don't prioritize or value. It might be something you're okay with and enjoy when it's there, but don't necessarily pursue it or make space or room for it. Don't prioritize it. But it's saying actually your alter ego really loves this. Your alter ego loves having open heart-to-heart connection with other people. It loves receiving love, giving love, being in intimate connection with other people. Really feels like your soul comes alive when it's with other people or connected with other people. Like that is something that is important to you. Love, receiving, intimacy are all very important for you, for this alter ego. And it's ready, available, and willing, as opposed to your current ego identity where you spend most of your time. You might not value this as much, prioritize it as much, create as much energy or space for it or whatever. In some way, obviously it's an alter ego. So in some way you're not doing this or prioritizing this or allowing yourself to receive love. I think there's more here. Let me see what else is here. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the energy of love and receiving love and being in a space of love. Okay, so what else for your alter ego? Let me pull, oh, I already pulled a clarifier card for this. I just feel, and so interestingly enough, and you guys have probably seen this on my channel before, there are some readings where like you get a different layer with every row. And then there's some readings that continue to affirm the same message. And it's like, I could beat the horse to death. And I don't even like that saying, but I could continue to say the same thing over and over again. And I will to a certain extent, because I want to make sure that you get some substance here. But we continue to see the same thing. We have another breath card, another harmony card, where again, your alter ego is totally at peace on its own in nature. So part of what probably wants to come through here, I'm feeling like now as it continues, is like spending more time in nature, however you might have to create that, is that spending more time in nature? Is it traveling to somewhere in nature? Is it getting sabbatical time in nature? Is it finding your favorite creek or your favorite spot or your favorite location where you do spend more time there, finding a home, a little nook out there? And again, it doesn't have to be in nature. You might find this feeling elsewhere, and then that's how you're going to know, okay, this is the same feeling. Now I know, this is the same feeling I get in nature, and this is the feeling I have here, and this is more of what I want to do, what my alter ego wants to do. This feeling of contentment, fulfillment, peace that you really don't find anywhere else, that all is right in the world, where you do feel this experience of this open-hearted love connection experience. But again, it's not just with other people, it's also with yourself, all on your own. But it's much more available to you when you're in this space, right, of this alter ego. And so those places that open your heart, I'm feeling the energy of wholesome. I'm feeling the energy of sentimental. I'm feeling the energy of nostalgia. The places that really make you feel like home even. So your alter ego might feel most at home in certain places. So one of them being nature, like we said. So you might create more space for that, more priority for that. More open-heartedness, more open-hearted connection, more being at peace with, being at home in. Like that's the kind of energy that's coming through here. I do want more practical value here, or practical steps, but I'm just not getting much more. It feels very like spiritual in nature in terms of an energy or an experience that you embody, and nature can help you get there, and simplicity can help you get there, and simple pleasures can help you get there. But ultimately it's something that you would embody on your own, where there's really not a whole lot of importance about all the things that have to happen, all the things that you have to do, and all the things that you have to attend to. And all this noise and chaos in the world doesn't hold as much weight anymore. Like all the things and contrived, manufactured realities that are all man-made, like all that starts to just settle down and become less and less and less of a priority for you, where things get quiet, where things become peaceful. This is that authentic truth. Your alter ego is totally at peace. Your alter ego requires like nothing else to bring it peace. Your alter ego is your soul, basically, which you encounter best and easiest when you're in nature, when you're feeling at home, when you're in the open-hearted space or in an open-hearted connection with somebody else. You're much more available and receptive to this kind of love, to this kind of experience. But it's like when you can allow that whole world to quiet and all the noise out there to quiet, and even your attachments to all those things out in the external world can quiet, and then you really feel at peace, you really feel at home. So ultimately what this tells me, card pile 2, is your alter ego is all about, and this might be about like meditation and yoga and things like that, and I know we hear a lot about that, but finding those activities that help you bring that that help bring that level of peace and bring you to a space of peace where you can enter this energy. Because again, this isn't necessarily a locale or a place or destination. You know, these other cards might be more practical in that way. This is more of a location, a resonance within yourself that you find within yourself. It's a peacemaking that happens within yourself, which we are peace, right? So it's just a matter of letting everything else quiet. So wherever you can find a settling, wherever you can find this place of home, of open-heartedness, of wholesomeness, continue to create more of that in your life, create more space for that in your life, and allow things to settle around you so that you can find this place within you that really doesn't care so much for everything that's going on out here because you're at peace in here. All right, card pile 2, that's your reading. If you found that you enjoyed this reading, do share your story, your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. Do subscribe to my other YouTube channels and communities. I'd love to see you over there. Those are also updated regularly. Psychic True Crime, Wise Women Television, both of which are linked below. And last but not least, if you want to get to know more about me, my work, how I can support you, personal readings, check out the link erritygreen.com/shop or find it in the description below. Thank you, card pile 2. All right, card pile 3, your alter ego. All right, so doing your reading on your alter ego, because if it's an alter ego, it means you typically don't spend most of your time or space in this identity, but it's what wants to come through now for your greater success or your fulfillment or the outcomes you seek. So let's get to know your alter ego. Okay, so I feel like card pile 3, there might be something when it comes to relationships or others that cause you strife, stress, or strain in some way, to where it becomes something more draining than fulfilling for you. So this has to do with relationships or a relationship. It could be specific. It could be specific to a romantic partnership or your current friendships or family. But ultimately, I feel like this is the way that you show up in the dynamic of your friendships, relationships, romantic partnerships, and or it could be something that happens with your colleagues. So you have to obviously apply this to your own circumstances and conditions, but it's the way that you show up in relationship where you're unable to enjoy the relationship or the partnership or the connection, colleagues or community or whatever it is because of your own stuff, right? Your own stuff gets in the way, your own insecurities, your own analysis paralysis, your own overthinking, your own belief in your own, like the lack of belief in yourself or the way that you think other people might think of you. It's like all your shadow, all your stuff, your shame, whatever comes up in the context of relationships. So what do? Instead of having to face it, right? Whether it be fear or insecurity or self-doubt or whatever, it's easier to turn away and not be in relationship and ride solo than it is to be in relationship or be in partnership. But I feel like you would actually best thrive when you are in connection, when you are in community. Now, this is similar to card pile 1 so far, but a little bit of a different flavor. So if you were called to card pile 1 as well, you might check that out. I could be saying that prematurely, but I do want to let you know this one does have a little bit of its own distinct flavor. However, similar themes to start with. So, but I feel like you actually thrive and you feel at home with people who are like-minded, like-hearted souls. Like you really love being in connection with and collaboration with other people. And yet your mind can get in the way. Your fears can get in the way. Your shame can get in the way. Your insecurity, your self-doubt can get in the way. As opposed to being able to enjoy it, you make it more of a problem for you. So some examples could be you see yourself in competition with other people, you get easily jealous or envious, you don't allow yourself to be or feel supported, and so then you feel like you're carrying the weight or doing the legwork of the connection or the relationship. You believe that they see you or define you or perceive you differently than the way that they actually do. Like you might think that they think bad of you when they don't, like that kind of thing. You might assume people think badly or wrongly of you, but this is actually from your history and from your childhood or your programming as opposed to what's true, but you're projecting it into the future. And so then you hide yourself away from other people because you assume they don't like you when that's in fact more of your story or your narrative. Those are a few different examples, but as you can imagine, that's a lot of, let me show you the energy here of that. So many different fractals or different threads of the same energy, but you more or less torture yourself within the context of relationships and then assume it's the relationships problem when it's actually your own SHIT in the way, right? So you getting in your own way as opposed to these relationships actually being the issue or the problem. So you might be someone that tends to turn away from relationships, or you struggle to stay in relationships or stay committed. You might be someone who doesn't prioritize relationships as much. You might be someone who tells yourself you don't really need it. It's not that important to you. You can do it on your own, like you're all good. But at the end of the day, again, a lot of these are stories because of what you have to face in the context of relationships as opposed to what's true. Because it's saying you actually thrive, you do well, you feel good, you feel supported, and you like being in relationships and or communities or surrounded by other people, and yet you don't allow yourself to go there. And there's also something about seeing like what other people experience in terms of success or potential or whatever is more supposed to be an inspiration for you as it is supposed to be a competition, right? It's supposed to uplift you, not bring you down. So to the extent that you allow it to bring you down, again, that's you being in your own way as opposed to it being a truth, right? It's more of a falsehood. So let's see what else here. Yeah. So card pile 3, when it comes to your your perception in relationships and the sort of, dare I say torture, but that's kind of the energy of the card, the torture that you kind of put yourself through. It's very, man-made. It's contrived by you. And so it's saying it says, with a steady mind, I am connected to our collective experience. So let me show you the energy, right? So we talked about this, right? This is how it's opening. Your alter ego is this. Do you see the difference? This might be the identity you spend most of your time in, maybe overthinking about how people think of you, overthinking whether they've approved of you, if they like you, what they judge about you, what they don't judge about you. You said this wrong, or you said this right, or what are they thinking here? It's like, when all of that settles, your alter ego is actually at peace. Your alter ego is totally at peace with themselves. They are completely content with who they are. They are anchored and convicted in who they are. So they really don't have to worry about other people's approval, other people's perceptions, other people's judgments. Like, it's not a concern. So because it's not a concern, they are at peace. And because they are at peace, they can enter into relationships at peace, right? They now, as a result, are able to develop healthier connections, healthier relationships, deeper intimacy. Okay. And that's as a direct result of coming into this centered, peaceful place within themselves, within their own truth, within their own being, as opposed to this. So it's basically saying that your alter ego doesn't have the same level of insecurity that you do. Your alter ego doesn't have the same level of self-doubt that you do. Your alter ego doesn't have all the filters, conditioning, and layers telling it that it's ugly, bad, wrong, yada, 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 fill in the blank with it, whatever your personal experience, narrative, conditioning, or history is. Your alter ego is perfectly fine and content with who they are. It doesn't even feel like they're like robust and confident in your face. It just feels like they're at peace with, they're accepting of, they're honoring of, they're totally, it's like not even, it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue for your alter ego. They're welcoming of themselves, welcoming of others. And as a result, they're able to develop these beautiful, deep, intimate bonds and connections and loving relationships with other people. It's almost like when someone is insecure, as an example, they might crave intimacy, connections, relationship, partnership the most, and yet they don't allow themselves at the end of the day, one way or the other, because they don't feel secure, because they believe that they're judged, they believe that they're not seen, all these things, right, that kind of add up that mental torture that then disconnects the relationship. And again, in one way or another, however it results for you. And then there's this belief that, okay, right, there's the self-fulfilling prophecy of, okay, I thought it would happen and now it happens, and affirms your belief and your lack and your insecurity and your self-doubt, right? And then the just goes around and around in circles again. But it's like, in truth, your alter ego is much more at peace with itself. This is, so while card pile 1 was very much about community in the beginning, where I'm seeing this distinction, a very, very clear distinction, this is much more about being at peace with yourself. This is about being secure in yourself. This is about loving yourself and seeing yourself as you are and loving yourself as you are, without judgment, without like all of the noise and all the stuff that can kind of fill our heads. Like, again, this isn't like, oh, I'm also confident. It's not that energy. This is like, I don't give a flying F. And not even like that. Not like a rebellious adolescent, angsty teenager saying that either. It's just like at peace. All the other stuff doesn't matter. Like, it simply is a non-issue, totally neutral, at peace with self, at peace with self, at peace with self. And as a result, All the judgments fade, all the self-doubt fades, all the insecurities fade, all the beliefs or perceptions that we have about other people and what they think and what they're going to think and what could they fades, at peace, at peace, at peace. So this isn't just a matter of improving your relationship with other people. It's a matter of improving your relationship with yourself. That's what this is about. Your alter ego is at peace with itself. What a beautiful thing. Your alter ego is at peace with itself. Name this alter ego, get to know this alter ego, explore the energy of this alter ego, the personality of this alter ego. That way you can begin to explore this other part of yourself, reside in, embody, occupy this part of yourself, and ultimately become whole with it to where you too feel at peace with yourself. To where it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, what Joe Blow thinks, what the neighbor said or thought, what the rumor mill is, what the gossip said, whether the boss said this or believes or says that, even whether the husband likes or not or thinks you're attractive, it literally doesn't matter, right? Because you are at peace with yourself. Nothing else matters when you are at peace with yourself. That's your alter ego. And then what happens when you're at peace with yourself? You can thrive in relationship and in connection with yourself and with others. Because all the other stuff isn't in the way, getting in the way of your own relationship with yourself as well as with other people. Like we started talking about in relationships, but ultimately this is about your relationship with yourself. And when you're at peace with yourself, you're at peace everywhere, right? No matter where you go, there you are. When you're at peace with yourself, it does not matter what's happening in the world. If aliens have just invaded, let's hope so. If, whatever has hit the fan, it doesn't matter because you are at peace with yourself. Yeah, this is about an alter ego that has a really loving, healthy relationship with itself, that loves itself well enough, that it's disciplined well enough, that it doesn't allow itself to even go there. It doesn't allow itself to feed the thought forms of you not being good enough and not having done it well enough or didn't do it right or didn't whatever, so-and-so thought this, or they might think this, or did they think that, like all that kind of energy, those thoughts, it's not even worth it. Like it's not even an energy. It's like it's not even gonna go there. Not only does it not feed those thoughts, it's like doesn't even go there. It's like on a different planet, dimension. It just doesn't go there. It's at peace. It nourishes itself and only allows nourishing thoughts, loving thoughts, conscious thoughts. It's like the alter ego, though, it doesn't even have to permit something or not. The boundary isn't there because it's created a whole new reality that it wouldn't ever consider anything that wasn't loving to the self or at peace with the self, right? The alter ego is totally at peace with itself and therefore wouldn't entertain any idea that would suggest otherwise. Look at this energy. This is the alter ego, consciousness itself. Beautiful. And I don't find it by any coincidence that both of these cards are very similar. Take a look. Totally at peace. This reminds me of the energy itself, of consciousness itself, or awareness itself, where it's like the ego filter isn't in there putting all of its experience and its judgments and its filters and its ideas and all the things it has to say and wanted to say and its angst and its issues and neurosis and upsets and history and programming and wounding and all that stuff like that. The ego has all that, has a lot of beautiful things too, of course. We're not saying we get rid of the ego. Clearly this is alter ego, so you're using just another identity, right? But it's like starting to identify more with that than say this. This version, whatever that current ego identity is for you, being able to see yourself with clear view, with taking the glasses, wiping the smudge off so you can see yourself clearly, which when we do that, we're actually seeing ourselves with loving eyes. And from there, we're able to see ourselves without filters. And so then it's not even an issue. Again, it becomes a non-issue if other people are seeing us with filters. It's not even a concern because we recognize it's a filter. And so we don't put too much weight or clout in that. We're like, okay, well, that's a filter. And I am at peace with who I am, right? So card pile 3, your alter ego is all about being at peace with who you are, coming into a healthier, more loving relationship with yourself by being at peace with who you are, recognizing that anything that is reflective of anything else is ultimately not true. And that a lot of times what comes up in your relationships, if you find you have challenges in relationships and or won't allow love in or deeper intimacy or whatever that is, if you find that to be the case, and I would imagine you do if you clicked on card 3 or chose card 3, it's actually your own issues that are getting up in the way stem from you not being at peace with yourself. And your alter ego does have peace with itself, or has made peace with itself. So if this lands for you, if this resonates, I encourage you to like, subscribe, share your story in the comments below. Do press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video or reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, how I can support you, personal readings, visit erritygreen.com/shop and or check out the links below. Last but not least, I do have 2 other YouTube channels and communities. I'd love to have you over there. Do join me at Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Television. These channels are also updated regularly. Thank you, Card Pile 3. Until next time.